we have a tyrant president of the United States trying to act like a king to undermine the very electoral system, the most important element of our democracy, by impeding the Postal Service and throwing grave doubt among Americans about the efficacy and fairness of the election through lies and subterfuge. This is a real national crisis.
Strong words from legendary journalist Carl Bernstein, who knows a thing or two about presidential overreach. He's my guest tonight. This is Full Circle. Hey everyone, I'm Anderson Cooper. President Trump's all-out war on mail-in voting may have finally hit its first roadblock. The Postmaster General and Trump campaign megadonor Louis DeJoy just announced that he'd be delaying widespread changes to the Postal Service that were slowing down the mail until after the election. He's going to delay them. More on that in a moment with my guest tonight, who's best known for helping to uncover one of the biggest scandals in presidential history. Talking, of course, about Watergate, journalist and CNN political analyst Carl Bernstein. Carl, welcome back to Full Circle. You've called the president's assault on the post office verbally and with the Postmaster General, the changes he made, and the mail-in voting process a national crisis. You've sounded the alarm during a number of occasions during the presidency, from the Mueller investigation, the impeachment proceedings. But does this cause the most concern for you?
I think they're all of a piece, which is to say we have a president of the United States who has utter disregard for democratic principles and the law. And we're seeing it now in the extreme as it becomes evident to this president that he may be facing defeat in the election. So he is in a desperate way, according to those that I've talked to around him. He is willing to do anything, including there is a plan that is being discussed in the White House to try and throw the election into the House of Representatives, if possible, if it looks like he's going to lose to the Democrats, to make Americans doubt the efficacy and legitimacy of this election. He is desperate. And as we have seen, when he is desperate, he is willing to do almost anything to achieve his own ends. So yes, we are at a crucial moment in our history with a president of the United States who is willing to undermine absolutely every element of democratic principle. But what's different at this moment is, for the first time in the last week, I'm starting to hear that Republicans in the House and the Senate are some of them are very, very worried about the behavior of the President of the United States in this instance.
I want to play something that the President said last week about the fight in Congress over additional funding for the Postal Service. Let's play that.
Now, they need that money in order to have the post office work so it can take all of these millions and millions of ballots. Now, in the meantime, they aren't getting there. By the way, those are just two items. But if they don't get those two items, that means you can't have universal mail-in voting because they're not equipped to have it. Now, if we don't make a deal, that means they don't get the money. That means they can't have universal mail-in voting. They just can't have it.
How did you interpret those comments?
As a threat to have his own way and just say the hell with democratic principle and the hell with the right to vote. The last time that this was done so openly in this country was by the segregationist Democratic Party through poll taxes to try and disenfranchise African Americans from voting for almost half a century in this country. And it took the Voting Rights Act of 1965 to undo the poll tax and to undo that segregationist Democratic Party. And now what we're seeing is something even worse in the 21st century by a president of the United States, not just the faction, the Southern Democratic faction, the Dixiecrats of the poll tax era. We now see the president of the United States himself in public saying, I'm willing to do anything to throw this election, to undermine this election. The hell with democratic process. The hell with the senators who know that we have laws to uphold in this country. The hell with the Congress of the United States that is responsible for seeing that the laws are passed and executed. He's willing to do anything. And I think there's an increasing awareness of it, both among voters, through the news media, but also, as I say, I think there's a chill that's starting to go through the Congress of the United States, including a fair number of Republicans who are watching an authoritarian, despotic president who's desperate.
Yeah, I mean, but you point out the president can't do this alone. I mean, some Republicans in Congress are certainly enabling this, or I mean, for
they've
years
enabled
just
everything
turning
he
a blind
has
eye.
done.
Yeah, I mean, they
They've
went after
enabled
President Obama for
3
executive
years.
orders, for deficit, for raising, growing deficits. I mean, this president has blown that away.
Yes, yes. We have an authoritarian president who aspires and attempts to act like a tyrant, and we have not had the mechanisms in place to stop him because the Republican Party on Capitol Hill, particularly, has enabled him and encouraged him. We are going to see in the next few weeks whether that continues to be the case. But I think there may be finally some, when you start to mess with the basic electoral process in this way and so openly, perhaps there is an alarm that is going off in the country right now.
The Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy, is obviously a political appointee. He's the Trump campaign mega donor. He's obviously come under a lot of criticism for changes at the post office, and certainly the timing of those changes at the post office. Earlier today, he's announced that he's suspending all the plan changes with the Postal Service until after the election. They include post office hours will remain the same, blue collection boxes will not be removed, no mail processing facilities will be closed. He did this, he said in a statement, to, quote, avoid even the appearance of an impact on election mail. Although there was reporting that, a number of, mail sorting machines, hundreds of them have already been removed. It's unclear to me if that's being put back or if it's just frozen where it's at.
Well, I think he announced this because he is going to be questioned by members of the Congress this week, and that he has got to provide some answers. So he's backing up. He's been caught. The question is, as you raise, have too many things already happened to impede the free election going forward? But he knows, and I think the White House knows as well at this point. The president might not quite realize it, but people around him do. That there's going to be testimony and hearings to try and stop this undermining of the Postal Service, which is the mechanism by which the election needs to be conducted in terms of mail-in ballots. The other thing, though, that the president said today, that he might look for a way to redo the election. I think every American, and especially in the Congress of the United States, has got to take a deep breath at this moment and say, what the hell is going on here? This is desperate stuff. And, we didn't see this in Watergate. Watergate was also about a massive campaign of political espionage and sabotage to undermine the election in some ways. But once caught, the process and the system started to work. We have got to make the process and the system work here in these 3 months, because Donald Trump is determined that the system will not work because he wants to be the president of the United States no matter what. And the hell with the rule of law, the hell with democratic procedures. This is a national emergency.
I talked to Congresswoman Bass earlier today, obviously a Democrat, and one of the things she said that she believed that in part that President Trump was so eager to be reelected to avoid to reach any statute or surpass any statute of limitations on anything he might be charged with, which I hadn't really. I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but I found it interesting that she was quite firmly convinced that was part of his rationale.
It's certainly possible. At the same time that he also might face state charges in various states in the United States, which might not be subject to the same statutes of limitations, especially in regard to his taxes, especially in regard to his business in New York State. I think that's over the horizon right now. I think that we need right now, and this is a really key moment for the press, and I want to talk about Fox News for a moment, because Fox has some good reporters, and Fox has some good people on the desk. And this is a moment in which they, too, need to be reporting this story every day about a president willing to thwart the rule of the law and the Constitution of the United States, to see that he is reelected or kept in office by means that are unconstitutional, that are illegal. Uh, we've never had a president do this before. The other thing, as I said, that is going on in the White House is the Electoral College is set to meet by the terms of the Constitution toward mid-December. And if a majority of the Electoral College does not come up with a majority for a candidate for the presidency of the United States, the election then goes to the House of Representatives. And in the House right now, it doesn't mean that 435 members of the House vote. It means that each state has a vote. And right now, those states line up 26 Republican, 23 Democrat, and 1 divided. So there is a mechanism by which Trump is talking about with people around him to throw the election into the House by keeping the count. That's another reason he's gone after the Postal Service, because if the ballots can't be scooped up and processed in time for a real count to take place by the Electoral College process, then it goes into the House. And that's what's under active discussion among people who are Trump's aides and the president. So we're in dangerous territory here.
You know, just in terms of, in the, 80 plus days or so that we have until the election, how do you see these next couple of months in terms of sort of vitriol, in terms of just, the kitchen sink being thrown at this thing?
You've heard me say on your air for 2.5, 3 years that we're in a cold civil war in this country and that it predates Donald Trump. But what he has done is now he has brought the cold civil war to the point of ignition and past it. He is pouring fuel on the fire. He has sent militias into various cities, actually to try and provoke violence that would help him in the election. Look today at what the Senate Intelligence Committee did. It produced a report, unequivocal, saying yes, that the Trump campaign was open to manipulation, to aid from Russia in the 2016 election, that his campaign manager, Paul Manafort, was open to this, that Manafort was in contact with Russian agents. The idea that everything is stuck on the word collusion doesn't hold, because there have been, as the Mueller report and now this bipartisan report by the Senate Intelligence Committee shows, once again, Donald Trump and his family willing to do anything to be elected. It all fits together. And right now it fits together in desperation. I keep coming back to that word because the people I talk to who know him say he is desperate. And that's a dangerous situation with somebody of his mindset and disregard for any kind of norms. And also look at the racist element of this campaign.
Yeah, Carl Bernstein. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Carl. Want to move on to goods? Some stories that hopefully leave you feeling good. We asked you on CNN.com and Instagram and Facebook to send your stories and images of what makes you happy during these uncertain times. First up, Ann Choice from Signal Mountain, Tennessee is grateful for the puppies that have brightened her home over the past several months. Oh my gosh. In March, her family heeded the call of a local animal rescue that was in search of new foster families to help shelter puppies before they are placed in forever homes. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Anne says these canine bundles of joy have brought light and love not only to her family, but also her neighbors. Look at the one with the black circle over his eye. I love the pit bull mixes. Anne is now on her 6th litter and has fostered 16 puppies, each one leaving a mark on her heart. She stays in touch with everyone who's adopted one of these cute little Puppies. Oh my gosh. Telling my producer, while she's happy they found permanent puppy parents, they'll always be a part of her family. This next one is Betsy Churchill in Arizona, who told us how her sister, Donna, bought a sewing machine with her stimulus check in April and immediately went to work making masks for people in need. That's awesome. Donna's stitched more than 1,000 masks so far, says she's donated them to the Navajo Nation and Phoenix Children's Hospital, among other organizations. One of her neighbors calls it compassion fashion, and it is true, kindness is always a welcome accessory. Well, big thanks to Betsy and Ann for sharing those uplifting stories with us. We'll keep the good moments coming. I think we all could use them. If you want to share your good moments, fill out the form on our website, cnn.com/fullcircle. We'll be back 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Friday. Remember, you can sign up for alerts from the CNN app or stream the show anytime on our website.